Hey guys, welcome to episode 3. My guest today is the always funny Sean Vocco, and we discuss 2020 dramatic comedy The King of Staten Island, starring Pete Davidson and Marissa Tomei. I had a lot of fun recording this one, and I hope you guys have as much fun listening to it. And now, on with the show.
I don't think that's
You didn't know that?
it.
That's out of the bag now. So,
Okay.
what made you pick this movie?
I don't know. It just looked funny. I've been to one of his comedy shows before.
Have
So
you
I was
really?
like, yeah, he came to Rochester a while ago, but he came. Like I think it was last
How was
Pete Davidson, he was funny. It was really good. It was over at Comedy at Carlson.
it? Okay.
So
I like him.
it was
He's
good. He was vulgar as hell, which I like and I can obviously, identify with.
Yeah, I think he's hilarious. I saw him on SNL, and he's not in a whole lot of skits, but the ones he's in, I think are
He's
hilarious.
It's just funny because he plays himself in
Right,
everything.
right.
And I think this movie was just like the 100% like nail in the coffin that this is who he is.
Yeah, no, I agree. He always shows up. He's got the two buddies, Machine Gun Kelly, and
Yeah.
who's the other guy? There's
Oh,
another comedian that's with him.
yep. Oh no, it's the prim and proper guy. What's his
Yeah,
name?
which is
He wears
crazy
like a
because
bow tie. Yeah.
it's like
But
the
they're like
opposite.
best friends.
It's like the good and evil angel on his shoulder.
Yep. Yep. It's awesome. I love it. I love that they're best friends too. Oh my God, it's gonna kill me that I don't know his name. He's like Jewish and dark hair, and that's not gonna help anybody in the comedian world. But Minga Fosh, I can't remember who it is. I'll think
I'm
of
gonna
it like
right,
right after
exactly.
we.
Mid episode, we're gonna be screaming out his name.
Yep.
John Mulaney.
There you go.
That's his name.
He's funny as hell too.
He's
I
very funny.
love his stand-up. I've seen a million of his things, both on like YouTube and Netflix and all of it.
And very different from Pete Davidson. He's very clean.
Dude, he wears a suit to every show. Pete Davidson does not. How he
He
dresses
does
in the movie is how it's literally how he goes to his stand-ups, which is fine. It's great. I'm there
Which
not
is
to
fine.
see the suit. I'm there to hear your freaking jokes. So I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I think he's hilarious. This movie is semi-autobiographical, would you say?
I don't know much about Pete Davidson's history. But based on the ending of it and everything too, he had to have an attachment to it. It's the first movie he's ever done. It had to connect with him. And I think like on the I'm just gonna smoke weed and kind of do my thing and not give a shit about anybody else. Like that's his MO.
Oh,
You know what I
100%.
mean? So like I think it wasn't really I hate to say it because I thought he was pretty good in the movie, but I could be good in a movie if I played myself too.
Right. So
Yeah.
he actually wrote this movie. Him, Judd Apatow, and another gentleman named Dave Sears, who was a writer on SNL,
Okay.
wrote this movie, and it is semi-autobiographical. So I don't know if you know this or not. Pete Davidson's father died. He's a firefighter, and he died in 9/11.
Okay, so I thought the movie was about, him in the movie and his dad dies in 9/11. I liked it that they didn't take it that far because I thought that's like the timeline was like, oh, obviously his dad died in 9/11. And actually like the twist where it's like, no, he just dies in this hotel fire. And I was like, that's cool because they didn't go with like an easy out. You know
Right.
what I mean?
The obvious connection.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah. Pete described this movie as what he thinks his life would be like had he not found comedy.
I could see that. Yeah, of course, because he was playing himself.
Yeah, he started doing comedy around 16, 17 years old, and just nightclubs and stuff like that, and kind of
Like
made a
2
name for
years
himself.
ago, based on how he
Yeah,
looked.
right, exactly. He plays 24 in this movie. I think he's about 26 or so in real life.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
think he's 26 or 27.
yeah. So Amy Schumer, who is a huge Pete Davidson fan, was actually talking to Judd Apatow on the set of Trainwreck when Judd Apatow, wanting to stay hip and young, asked Amy, like, who should I know? Who's up and coming that I should be aware of? And Amy immediately said that, this guy, Pete Davidson, he's probably one of the funniest people I've ever met. So Judd Apatow hires Pete Davidson to be an extra on the movie Trainwreck. He's got one speaking line, and that's where he meets Bill Hader, who's the other, leading actor in that movie. Have you seen Trainwreck?
I have not. Should I put that on my list of things?
It's pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to say it's amazing, but it's pretty good.
I mean, if you don't have anything else to do, sure. Like,
yeah, if you just want a mindless movie, you've had a couple of drinks or a little smoke, and you just want something to laugh at, that's a good movie to put on. It doesn't require a whole lot of attention, but it'll definitely make you laugh in a few scenes.
See, and I've said it. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Netflix needs to come up with their own category for movies to watch while you're on your phone. So I'll add that under that category. Yeah,
that is a great idea. So Bill Hader and Pete Davidson hit it off on the set. According to Pete, they only had like a few different moments of conversation until Bill called him the next day and said, "By the way, I recommended you to Lorne Michael to be on SNL." So, and that's it. The rest is
I didn't know that was into SNL. Holy crap.
So he gets on SNL and becomes a star, and before you know it, him and Judd Apatow are making a movie called The King of Staten Island, which is awesome. What we're talking about here today.
That's right.
Normally, I would sit here and describe the synopsis of the movie for the listeners who haven't seen it. But I mean, I got to be honest. First off, the movie is an incredible 2 hours and 16 minutes.
I couldn't believe it was that long. Like,
yeah. I mean, comedies notoriously do not go that long.
Nope.
And I would definitely describe this as either a comedy or a dark comedy in some spots. Really long. To me, that was kind of a strike one. I feel
like it didn't need to be that long. Like, I would get behind it if there was like a lot of character development and there was like multiple layers, especially to Pete Davidson as the main character. But realistically, I really didn't see a lot of change, or like there was like one moment towards the end where he does a little bit of like self-reflection, and you can kind of see that with him. But like, honestly, the characters, like, they were good and they were entertaining, but like nothing, you know what I mean? It really didn't keep you in going, what's going on? What's the next, what's going to be the next crisis? How are they going to handle that? What did they learn? How did they move on? Like, if you're going to go over 2 hours, like, I want to see evolution of characters, both side characters and the main one.
Oh, I agree 100%. I think the movie being 2 hours and 16 minutes did not need to be the case. They could have cut out a lot of stuff. Pete's character does not really, typically with movies like this, you got the guy who's a stoner loser in the beginning, and as time goes on, he realizes, oh, I should make something of myself and become a better person. And he does have these, I'll call baby steps at the end of the movie, where he starts kind of like becoming not a immature adult. But there's not much growth there.
There's not a whole lot, and like, realistically, Bobby, like, I just wanted to yell at his character, like, grow the fuck up.
Yeah,
like, right, life's not easy, life's not fair. Like, I get it, your dad died. I can't identify with that personally, but like, trauma happens all the time. Like, are you gonna let it completely control your life, or there's got to come a point in time? Listen, a tattoo restaurant is the shittiest idea I've ever heard in my life. But like, if that's your dream, fucking do it, man. Like, that's awesome. Like, go all about it. Stop telling people about it and start taking steps to put it in motion. Like, it's good to be sympathized, and I felt like everybody just babied the hell out of him. Right. And so it was just like, stop. Like,
right. So that's kind of the premise, right? So he's 24 years old. He's living at home with his mom. He's basically hanging out with his friends, smoking weed all day, wallowing in his own sorrow.
Living the dream. Living the dream.
Living the dream. So his sister graduates from high school and goes off to college, and that basically leaves him and his mom. And his sister advises him, get your shit together, don't pick on mom, leave her alone and move out.
And that whole, like, the main, if I can jump in, that whole absolutely. Interaction with when his sister gives him like the paints, like, that could have been so much more.
You say the gift,
like, he's just like, okay, like, And you can be shitty with it and still have the characters like touch and connect or do something. But it was just like, it was so shallow. I was like, that scene really didn't do anything at all. Like,
So
and it was supposed to be so impactful.
His sister is played by Judd Apatow's real life daughter, with Leslie Mann. Do you know who Leslie Mann is?
I do not.
Have you seen not 40-year-old version? This is 40?
No.
Oh my God, you've got to watch This Is 40.
No, I'm messing up. Okay.
She's amazing. She's a very good actress, very attractive. She's been in a lot of Judd Apatow's movies lately. They got married in 1997. I'm trying to think of some other movies that she's been in. Knocked Up. She plays a lot of minor roles, but she was
I remember.
the main
Yeah,
star.
I saw Knocked Up. Yeah. Okay.
So she plays a sister in Knocked Up, and that character eventually goes on to be like the main character in This Is 40. The movies are very loosely connected. Very funny. She was in Change Up, Modern Family, a couple episodes. Funny People.
I gotta get into Modern Family. I've never seen that, and I've heard very good things.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's probably one of the last great sitcoms that I think will come out. I mean, the sitcom genre, in my opinion.
No, sound it out. You got it. It's okay. I'm gonna with you.
I don't know if that was such a problem with that word, but so his sister goes off to college, and in one of his first outings with his friends, he's an aspiring tattoo artist, and he's at the beach and he's trying to convince his friends to let him tattoo them for the umpteenth time. They say no, and this kid comes walking up, and when I say kid, I mean he's literally probably like I initially
10
thought,
years old.
Yeah,
Gotta be 10 years old.
10 years old. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Pete attempts to give him a tattoo, and of course, as any 7 to 10-year-old would do, he initially is like, oh yeah, sure, I'll take a tattoo. Then
but to their credit, like he was a badass 10-year-old. Like, no, because his first couple interactions with the group, here's a 10-year-old coming up to a bunch of like 24, 26-year-old guys just hanging out, drinking, smoking weed. And you're like, oh, the kid's gonna be scared. No, the kid's like, oh, I'm a badass. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? That's great. Yeah. And how far did they get, Bobby? How far did they get with that tattoo?
He got a full line. He got one line on the arm. And then they had this great exchange where the kid's like, no, I changed my mind. He's like, well, I got to finish now. You're going to look stupid with a line on your arm.
Nope. Takes off running.
Kid takes off running. Next scene is Bill Burr, master comedian, shows up playing the kid's father.
Perfect role for Bill Burr. I don't know how much of his stand-up you've watched.
Oh, he's hilarious.
But especially with like the fireman history and stuff like that, like he's real big, like just blue blood, like down to earth guy. I love his stand-up so much. And he's also rage filled as hell, which I can identify with. So like swearing, just down to earth guy.
This is probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie, is this exchange between Bill and Pete through the door. So Bill shows up to confront Pete and his mom about, what the hell you letting your 24-year-old son tattoo 9-year-olds for. And Pete makes some comment about, like, oh, I thought he was 17. He's like, he looks like he's fucking 4, you idiot. Like, it's such a great exchange.
Perfect for that. Yeah. And also he's behind his mom in the hallway, and he keeps diving back in the hallway for protection. Like, it was perfect.
His mom sends him to his room and he's like, I want you to know I'm going to my room, but because I want to. And this is probably 20 minutes into the movie at this point. And now for the next, I don't know, roughly hour and a half, it's this exchange between Bill Burr's character and Pete's mom, who is played by Marissa Tomei, and they develop a relationship, and that relationship inspires her to essentially kick Pete out and say, you're 24 years old, stop being a loser, go make something of yourself.
Yeah. Well, I really not for nothing too, but there was a little bit of character development too with Bill Burr, because you saw him lash out his mom, like, what the hell, you're paying for this? This is which any parent would do, if not more. Like, holy crap, you tattoo a 10-year-old. But then he comes back, and I feel like after he got some insight into who it was, you know what I mean? Where he was just kind of like, oh shit, I know who her husband was. I need to go apologize, because there's a subtle undertone of family, like Wolfpack for, the fire department and everything like that. And I felt like he was obligated because it was family, You know what I
And
mean?
that plays
Firefighters, no matter where you are.
Yeah, that plays a huge part later on in the movie. That connection between Pete's father and Bill Burr, Bill Burr's
Yep.
character, I should say. So Bill Burr said that Pete was always the first person to show up on set and the last person to leave. That his work ethic was impeccable, which strikes me as odd. I mean, I guess it shouldn't, because I know a lot of stoners that are go against the norm of being stoners. But
Yeah.
to hear that he was taking the role seriously, I mean, this is his first real lead acting position. Hopefully not his last. Like I said, I think he's very funny.
I could go. I was really excited about this movie, and I kind of picked it to just see what he could do. But it was just so stereotypical for him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Ultimately, I think this is his movie. I mean, Judd Apatow, who has done a million different movies and become kind of the quintessential light comedy director in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pete Davidson is not only playing himself in this movie, but all of his friends in the movie are his friends in real life. Yeah, swear to God, including
he needs to get new friends.
So the female, the love interest in the movie, which honestly I could have done without that side story. To me, it was kind of pointless. But there is a love interest in the movie that's actually a good friend of his in real life, along with the other black waiter that he fights for tips. Another good friend of his in real life.
Dude, that was a great scene. I love that. The first fight scene where they fight, almost like, what's going on? Like, is it Fight Club? And they're like, basically, yeah, it's Fight Club with Hulk hands. And I'm like, I can get behind this. Like, no, I'm seriously considering this for a business proposal. It'll be great. Not? Yeah.
So do you remember the party in the beginning? They had the graduation party for his sister, and there's an old man at the party that has an hilarious couple of lines about college and how it's worthless and you should never go.
And lists all these people like Jeffrey Dahmer and right. People who went to Donald Trump went to college, oh my God, it's a waste. Like, the worst people go to college.
Yeah. And then she goes, well, maybe I shouldn't go then. And he's like, no, you should go. You'll love it.
Yeah, it'll be great. That's complete.
That's Pete's real grandfather.
Is it really?
Yeah, his real grandfather in real life. He was hanging around on set so often, wanting to watch his grandson star in the movie, that they eventually said, "Screw it, just throw him in the scene. Let's see what he can do."
He did great. Yeah, I thought that was an awesome scene.
So Bill Burr and Pete's mom are dating, and Pete is on a quest to get rid of Bill Burr, get him out of their life. And when I say quest, I mean, he takes very minor steps. I mean, Pete's character in general in this movie doesn't really do anything.
He doesn't put a whole lot of effort into much. That's for sure.
He does find Bill Burr's ex-wife because he has to go and walk Bill's kids to and from school from the ex-wife's house. So he knows her at least cordially enough to go to her house and decides to try to have a couple of drinks with her. And at first I was like, he's going to try to sleep with her.
That's what I thought. I was actually disappointed that they didn't have a sex scene. I was like, this would have made things so much more complicated. It would have been so much more entertaining.
Agreed. But instead, he just gets her drunk and decides to ask for dirt on Bill. He gets some, of course, because it's the ex-wife. Why wouldn't he? And then goes to his mom about it. And Bill and Pete have this confrontation where Pete essentially puts all his cards on the table and says, I want you out. I don't like you. I think you're a POS and so on. And Bill just ultimately, he throws him in the pool, tells him to cool down. And then this is when Pete's mom, Marissa Tomei, shows up and kicks them both out, essentially.
See, if she didn't show up, though, I think they would have worked it out. I was actually really disappointed that she broke it out, because sometimes I hate saying it, and it's gonna sound horrible, but sometimes you just gotta bro out and like throw some punches and work your stuff out. Like, one of my best friends in college, we got into a bar fight, and he won, like a hard win. But like, he picked me up, he bought me a shot, and we became like inseparable ever since. Like, sometimes like that's just how it goes. And I'm not advocating violence at all. Well, like, the fight scene was funny too, because they weren't like punches being thrown. They were kind of like wrestling. And like, again, Pete Davidson wasn't really putting a whole lot of effort into the fight.
Yeah, I mean,
He was kind of like wiggling, and like, it was like fighting a wet noodle.
he doesn't really put a whole lot of effort into anything in this movie, and I think that's kind of the point of his character, which is ironic because he essentially was just playing himself. I mean, I don't know him personally, but so he at this point he decides he's got no place else to go. Or I'm sorry, first he's trying to sleep on friends' couches, and he ends up trying to sleep on somebody's back porch. There's a couple cut scenes of that, but sooner or later he's got no place to go, so he goes to the firehouse that Bill works at and ultimately is sleeping at as well, and just starts staying there. We meet a couple other firefighters, most notably Steve Buscemi.
Oh, Steve Buscemi. I was going to say, I immediately saw him. I'm like, Con Air.
Exactly, yes. Steve Buscemi's
great.
there.
There were a lot of little cameos in there that just like peppered the movie with fun. And he was definitely one of them.
So Steve Buscemi's actually was a real life firefighter before he became famous as an actor. And during 9/11, he did go back to his original firehouse and try to help out.
Really? I never knew that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So Steve Buscemi takes a shine to him because he had served with Pete's father for about 6 months, and basically tells Bill Burr's character, take it easy on him, help the kid out. He obviously is in need of something.
Well, again, there was one scene that really kind of impacted me. He was like, "Hey, did you know his dad?" He's like, I was there. Like, I heard the call go out. And he's like, "What did you think when you first heard the call?" And he was like, I wondered if he had any kids.
Yeah.
And he's like, "There's one." And that was a turning point, I think, for Bill Burr's character, where
I agree.
Like, he really reflected. But that was some good like progress, some good development, and it didn't turn a leaf for him, but he was more open, and he made a big decision.
Yeah, he allows Pete to stay there at the firehouse. Pete's got to obviously help out. He's cleaning toilets and scrubbing the truck and everything. And that's the other thing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So the ongoing character arc of Pete in the movie is that he wants to be a tattoo artist. He does have a tattoo artist that's willing to give him an apprenticeship, which is a split cameo for Machine Gun Kelly, who plays this tattoo artist. He's obviously tattooed all of his friends, but the joke is that he's not very good at it. He screws up all the tattoos. They're real one-dimensional.
No, it looks like a 7-year-old.
It's bad. It's really bad.
It's really bad.
So, and this is the one thing I didn't understand about the movie. So his tattoos are horrible. They're awful. But he does this amazing drawing for Bill's son. And
well, if you remember too, like reflecting, like that, what was it? Fire Ice or Ice Fire, whatever his name was. Like that drawing was impeccable. But I think that's why his sister gave him the paints. Because she told him, you need to expand your medium. You need, she's probably seen his sketches or, whatever. And she's like, this is the route he needs to go. But she didn't say that. She just gave those to him, which is why he's like, oh, I got to return these.
Right. So that's the confusing part, though. So is he good at drawing and not good at translating it to tattoos? Is that what we're supposed to believe?
That's what I took from it. Like, his heart was in tattoos, but the skill level just wasn't there. But that's what I think, Bill Burr's character, that's what I made it so impactful. He's like, well, you need a canvas. Take me. You have all of me, all of it, whatever. Do whatever you need to do.
Right, because he has no tattoos at all.
None. Yeah, and there's just cutscene after cutscene. It was almost a montage of just him tattooing Bill Burr. And I'm like, this isn't going to... I expected to see, like, top left being, like, 7-year-old and then bottom right being, like, masterful.
Oh, see, I assumed for some reason I was like, okay, he's doing some sort of like firefighter mural on his back, and it's going to be amazing. This reveal is going to be amazing. So Bill's got these, like each cut scene, he's got some rule for Pete. Like, hey, I don't want any Chinese symbols. I don't want any
unicorns.
Yeah, no unicorns. No unicorns. I don't want
no peace signs.
No naked women. Like,
yeah,
it's hilarious. So we get towards the end of the movie, and the firefighters are called out onto a job, leaving Pete the only one in the firehouse. He's sitting out front in a chair, and this guy walks up. Did you recognize the guy?
I did not.
The gentleman that
He
walks
kind of
up is
looked like the guy from Lost.
he's a famous rapper named Action Bronson, and anybody who knows who Action Bronson is knows he has a very distinct look. He's very heavy set, shaved head, not bicked, but pretty close, and this giant red beard. He famous rapper, but then started getting into cooking. And when people realized not only does he know what he's talking about when it comes to cooking, but he's actually a very good cook, he's now become a cooking show host.
No way. I need
And
to look into this.
yeah,
Okay.
he's known more now for his his well-known travel program called Fuck That's Delicious. True story.
I'm
So
gonna have to check
Action
that. I'm gonna fact check you later.
Action Bronson shows up and he's got a wound in his abdomen, and immediately Pete's freaking out. And he's trying to
he's
find
like so weird about it. He's like, what does he say? He's like, I fell on a thorn bush.
This is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite acting in the movie. Is that he's got so he plays this very mellow. He's got in a disagreement with a friend of mine. He's asked, is it a gun? Did you get gun? Is it a gunshot? Did you get stabbed? No, I fell in a thorn bush. He tells the nurse later, like he fell into a door or something like that, or he had bad Chinese food. I think he said at one point. Like it's so funny. He plays.
It was just like the most obscure things that somebody would try to do, but obviously he was trying to skirt like any sort of anything because he's like, "Let me use your ID, let me do this," and he kept coming up with like reasons why he got hurt. It was awesome, and but like says, Pete Davidson was pretty good. He's just like, all right, let's just get you into the hospital. And he kind of had to coax him into the hospital. It's like, no, I can't. I can't involve myself. And it was funny.
That was great. So this is supposed to be like the representation that I guess Pete's grown up a little bit. I mean, so he's got this scene where he essentially helps this guy, presumably saves his life. He's losing a lot of blood, gets him to the hospital. Then he's got the other scene where he's on the Staten Island ferry and he tells the love interest who he's been more or less trying to avoid.
We're jumping ahead though. Like let's backtrack just a second. You said that was a turning point for Pete.
I felt like there was a couple scenes. There was 2 or 3 scenes where it was supposed to show him kind of developing and growing a little bit.
So listen, not for nothing, but if you see if anybody sees a random person walking around, and not for nothing, the dude was asking for help. If you see somebody bleeding from the abdomen asking for help, who the hell isn't going to help that person?
So you don't take this as a growth spot?
No, not even. He did the bare minimum. Okay, he might have stolen a fire truck to take him to the hospital, and with the lights on and everything, I don't know how he knew how to work the lights, because I don't know if you've been inside one of those, but there's switches everywhere. So like, okay, cool. So like he fixed the lights and he drove the guy to the hospital. But that's like, what person wouldn't do that? Like, that's what hit my mind. Is like, I know this is supposed to be a growth point, but he's doing basic human decency things.
And honestly, I think that's the growth. I think so. I'm serious. He is described as like an asshole this whole movie. He's sarcastic. He doesn't care about anybody. He's almost got like an enhanced absence in understanding other people and social cues, and to do the most basic. I mean, there's 2 big scenes that we actually skipped. One of them is the scene where he's at the baseball game with the firefighters.
Yeah.
And
that was a good scene. I love that. Steve Buscemi, his rebuttals were really, really good.
Yeah, so they have this moment where Steve's talking about his dad, and he's kind of talking strictly to Bill about it a little bit. And he makes the comment, like, you don't really want to know what I think about firefighters or something along those lines. And Steve Buscemi says, no, I do. Come on, tell us what you really think. And he goes into this almost monologue about you shouldn't have a family. You shouldn't have a wife and kids. You shouldn't tell somebody you're going to be there, and then one day you don't come home and you miss their prom and their birthdays and so on. And
yeah, but like, dude, the whole time I'm just like, that's so selfish. That's so like, because obviously, he wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for his dad and his mom meeting up. Like, obviously. But
Right.
like his dad's allowed to be happy. His dad, as they told stories, he was a person. Like, at first, he grows up and, oh, my dad's a hero. My dad did this. He had a great work ethic. He did that. But then later on in the movie, you find out, oh yeah, my dad loved Coke. Like, and
Loved Coke.
he knew people, and they got in trouble with the cops, and he kisses a cop on the mouth because it was like a friend from high school, and he
But
was like
I think
juggling on the front of a car. Like, his dad was a person.
But I think
Like,
that's the point. Is I think and that scene shows that he only cares about himself. He only cares
yeah,
about the effect that his dad's death had on him.
yep.
And then the scene with Action Bronson kind of shows that he is now caring about somebody else. He's doing the most basic things you can to help somebody else. And I think the Action Bronson scene, in addition to the scene where he goes with the firefighters on the call and sees them hopping into a burning house, pulling people
See, that
out.
was cool. Like,
I,
and he didn't say anything. He just watched and he was there.
right.
Like, that was a cool scene because I saw him learning, growing, understanding.
And I
Like,
think
the
those
main character, characters don't have to say anything to show growth. I thought that was a more of a growth point than any other point in the movie.
I agree, but I think those two scenes together show that he's starting to understand about caring for other people and how that was the decision his father made. It wasn't against him as the son, it was to help others. And that's, despite the coke and the kissing the cop and all these other things, his dad was human. His dad helped other people, and
Yeah.
because of that, he should have some sort of honor and respect for that. I mean, or
Well, his
maybe I'm just
dad,
reading too
like,
much into it. I don't know.
no, his dad worked hard and play hard. You know what I mean? Like, that mentality. He was the first one there, the last one to leave, but also, like, he did shrooms, he did coke, like, he drank a lot. Like, that's, but that's not like, when it comes to like eulogies, people don't sweat the small stuff. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like, you could drink a little bit and still be a good person. And people, when it comes to what they remember about you, it's the good thing.
DFAT Comics is the publishing branch of Don'tForgetATowel.com, the only place to travel geekly. Focusing on creator-owned and independent titles like Hollowed, Pursuit of Plastic, and Fairy, and many more. DFAT Comics will be a mix of genres appealing to every kind of reader. Join the new source of comic book entertainment with DFAT Comics.
So, like, our bike trip from Buffalo to New York City, that sucked so bad. And I went with my best friends, and there were days out of 9 where I hated them. Like, my brothers, I hated my brothers. But, like, you don't remember that when you look back and you reflect. I think, holy shit, like, look at all the fun we had. We rescued this. We ended up taking, 2 Ubers, and we met up together, and like all the good times, all like the nights in the campfire drinking, like, those are the parts I miss, not the parts where we were going to like literally punch each other in the face.
Agreed.
So it's like, but you have to have those high points. You have to say, like, this person was the first one there, the last one to leave. They had to make sure everybody was okay. They talked about his dad being like, he would rush in. It was instinct.
Right.
You
To
know what I
help
mean?
somebody
That was
else.
cool.
Yeah, I
That was
agree.
cool.
I think so. Those two scenes, and then the scene where he's on the ferry and he tells this love interest that he loves her. I think, which I guess that was the end of the movie. Which, okay, so
Okay, no, yeah,
I'm just remembering now that
that
was the
was
end of the movie.
bullshit.
So he,
No.
oh my God, you did not like the ending.
Okay, so they're on the ferry. He tells her he loves her after, like, she's going to study, or she's going to take the civil service exam because she's like driven. Granted, her dream is horrible
She
because you
wants to
can't
redo
fix.
Staten Island.
Yeah, you can't fix Staten Island. That's fine. But like, and I was like, cool, like, because Pete Davidson is spending his whole time in the firehouse, and I'm like, he's gonna take the civil service exam too.
I was
Like,
thinking
this,
the same
he's gonna,
thing.
he's gonna do this. And then like he quizzes her, and I was like, he doesn't know the answers to this test as it goes on. And I was like, he should know these if he's gonna take it. And then he drops her off, or they're in front, and she's like, all right, I'm gonna go take it. I'm expecting him to be like, oh, I am too.
Right.
and nothing.
But he doesn't.
Nothing, dude. Screw that. I was so pissed. I would have been like, that would have been that's where I wanted it to go. Obviously, that's where the movie was heading, and maybe they didn't do that on purpose, but
well, so, and this is my ultimate complaint with the movie. Like we had mentioned, Pete's character doesn't really do a whole lot of growth. It's over 2 hours, and at the end of the movie, he is no different than the beginning of the movie, other than he's not living with his mom anymore. He's living at a firehouse and mooching off of them. Like, there's really no difference.
There's no difference. And to be honest, I think if I want to be cynical, I'd say he's using his dad as his dead dad as a safety net, because he knows that, like, I always have a home at the firehouse. That's why he goes there. He doesn't go there for Bill Burr. Like, he knows, like, if I set foot in here, they're going to accept me no matter what. Instead of standing on his own 2 feet. It's just bullshit. Like, I was so pissed off at the end of the movie. Oh my God.
I agree. I think ultimately, we watch movies so that we can be taken on this journey with these characters, and you want some sort of investment, and you want some sort of payoff on that investment. And
a return on investment. I'm spending over 2 hours on this movie, and I want to see some sort of resolution, and besides him and his girlfriend, which was like, he just didn't care at all. When his girlfriend brought, some guy she met on Tinder into the restaurant, he's like, okay, cool. What can I get you? And just no emotion, nothing. It didn't hurt him at all. It wasn't a struggle. It wasn't anything.
And that's the other issue I have, is that I see, he says the I love you. She goes in and takes the civil service exam. I mean, if this movie carries out another, hour, I see she passes, she gets a good job, and he goes and mooches off of her. Like, I don't see any growth with him.
I think, like, reflecting on it, I think it was supposed to represent, like, the possibilities, because if you remember, like, the last scene, it pans up to the New York City skyline, and, like, you see his eyes, like, and I really thought it was kind of like an opening. So, like, yeah, anything's possible. I can do whatever I want. I'm in the city now.
So is that the message then? Is that the message?
Maybe?
You got to get out of Staten Island. Like, that's what you need to do. It's such a shithole. You just got to leave.
Yes. Have you ever been there? I have. No, you immediately, when you go in, you're like, I fucked up. I need to leave this place right now.
As soon as you go to New York City, you're automatically a better person.
I mean, yeah, so, no, that happens. That's a thing.
So, assuming that his character does have some form of change in the movie, or that's what they're at least trying to project, what do you see as being the catalyst for that change? Like, what was the point where it was like, okay, this is where his character starts to move the needle a little bit?
So I would like to say his sister, because his sister gave him the watercolors, and that was, towards the end of the movie, you realize he's better with sketching and painting than he is with anything else, especially tattoos. Jesus Christ. But I really think when Bill Burr was like, you need a canvas, I'm your canvas. I think that was it. When somebody just kind of made the ultimate sacrifice. But even still, it's hard to say, because he was like, okay. He was himself. He's like, all right. Like I've seen him in stand-up, and he does the same thing. It's just kind of like, whatever, who cares? And he, like, even in his stand-up, he makes a joke about, like, little kids, and it's like, this is gonna be weird, but, like, whatever. And he just goes on it, and it's funny, but you're like, dude, this is like,
this is
like,
really
if
dark.
you gave a shit, this would be really weird. Yeah. No, there were some dark moments in the movie too. We're just going around, like, the opening scene. You just skipped right past the opening scene.
The opening scene. Remind me again. What happens in the opening scene?
Okay, so he's driving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, that was a dark... And there's a phrase, I forget what it is, but it's because everybody has, like, those thoughts. Every single person. I don't care who you are, how happy you are, but everybody has those thoughts where it's like, what if I end it all? Like, what if you're standing on a cliff edge? Like, what if I jump? If I'm... what if I just turn the wheel to the right while I'm driving? And there's a phrase for it, and I forget what it is. It's another language, but like Greek or something, because it's super old, but it's like the call of the darkness.
Oh yeah.
And like, that's what I thought that scene represented, was just like, because he's really close to the call of the darkness, because he's so, like, not happy with anything he's doing, and he's hiding behind like drugs and weed, and he doesn't drink much, but he uses that to kind of like, I don't know, kind of skate around things and use it as an excuse almost. But like that opening scene like connected with me a little bit because I was like, I've been there, like I get it.
Yeah,
I've had
so
those
he has
days.
the scene that you're talking about is he's driving on a expressway or on a street or something like that, and he has this moment where he decides he's going to close his eyes. Mind you, this is broad daylight. He closes his eyes and he opens them at the last minute to see that there's a
no, but he closes his eyes for a very
long time.
Like too long.
He opens them at the last minute. The cars in front of him have stopped. He slams on his brakes and then veers out of the way because he's not going to stop in time. Ends up cutting some guy off. Yeah, the other car bumps into another car and they pull over and he essentially just drives off and is thankful to be alive. But yeah, it's a really dark scene. You're right. I forgot all about that.
And there's a couple points like where he like references that a little bit. Like, I don't know, especially when he's talking like at the baseball game and like he talks about his dad, like you see the darkness coming out of him, like the anger, you know, the letdown, the hurt. But ultimately, dude, like your dad died saving people.
Right.
Like where would that family be without him? Like there has to come a point where you get a certain amount of clarity to things and you say, okay, if my dad were to pass, when he passes, because that's going to be a thing, I'll be devastated. Like ultimately just destroyed. I will be inconsolable for months. But ultimately there's going to be a point in time where I know I'll be doing him an injustice because I will be wallowing and I will be not myself and I'll I could lose everything. And that's not what he wants. He wants me to be successful, to push forward, to, have a family, be happy. And like, I'm not doing him any honor by just wasting my life away.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think so. Pete's done quite a few interviews, especially surrounding the movie about his father's passing. And he said that ultimately he was 10 or so when his dad passed. I mean, he was in the midst of development and there was so much presentation around it. About his father being a firefighter who passed, especially in 9/11. And he said that people thought they were helping him, but it was constantly a topic. He actually went to the White House and received a medal from President Bush.
Stop it.
Swear to God. And he says, like, what was the point of that? Like, what was I why was I receiving this? It was just a constant reminder. There's home videos of him at football games and going in the middle of the field and getting, this, that, and the other thing, or shaking hands with so-and-so. And I think that, I mean, I could totally envision those things happening, especially surrounding 9/11 and the war in Iraq, is you're parading these kids of fallen firefighters in front of the world as a constant reminder to us to be more patriotic, but it's going to also serve as a constant reminder to them of what they've lost. And he said that he really struggled with accepting it because it was such a topic of conversation.
Well, it's a topic of conversation, but ultimately it shouldn't have been presented to him.
Right.
It should have been presented to his mom in, her husband's memory. Or like, what place does a kid have of 10, at 10? You're dealing with so much, and especially to have that over your head your whole life. Like, that's shitty. Like, because then you're living in your dad's shadow. And if you want to open up a tattoo restaurant and not be a firefighter, which is a fine decision, you can go out and do whatever you want. Give it your all, be successful, fail, give it your all again. Try whatever you're going to do. Like, it's just, I don't know. It provides, like, I agree with you, a consistent reminder. And I feel like it's just like, I don't know. It's just garbage.
It's gotta be tough. Yeah. So, I didn't find any information online about the budget for this film. Normally I would tell you what the film made versus what it cost, but I can find
$14.
nothing. Yeah, it was a privately funded movie. It's considered low budget. I can tell you right now, it was released on June 12th. So it's coming up to the 1 month mark. It's made $45,000.
Of course. 40 of which are between us, which is great. Hindsight should have shared that $20. Not worth $20, by the way.
Not worth $20.
Not worth $20. I owe you a six-pack.
I could see this movie because it being a Judd Apatow movie, making substantially more, providing the movie theaters were open, and we were in the middle of a pandemic.
Well, also it got pulled from drive-ins. Did you know that too? Because there was a controversy where it was pulled, and I don't know why. It was just immediately pulled from drive-in movie theaters.
Yeah, so I can tell you why. So originally it was set to be released in drive-ins. In fact, it went so far as drive-ins were advertising it and even selling tickets to the opening night. The studio ultimately came to them and said, "Listen, we're not gonna do this. We're either going to wait a year and release it in theaters, or we have a substantial contract with Amazon's VOD television, and they'll buy it and they'll release it. But that ultimately means it's not going to drive-ins." And Judd Apatow said, we made the decision to release early because the hype was surrounding it, and we thought we could benefit more now. And
they failed.
Yeah, I did. I think either avenue was probably going to be a lose-lose.
I hope this doesn't ruin his film career, because it's in the middle of the pandemic. I get that we're kind of coming out, but I don't $20 to rent the movie. I was like,
it's
okay,
tough.
Yeah, it is, but I'm like, I want to see it. We'll see how it goes. I would have much rather been in a theater seat with a bottle of tequila and maybe some Sprite and on a matinee for $14 and had fun there. But whatever. I just felt like they did it wrong.
Yeah. I think they did the movie wrong, to be honest with you. I wasn't a fan. There were scenes I liked, but ultimately
there were 6 scenes that I chuckled and I was like, that's great. And then there were a couple scenes where I was like, oh shit, all right, it's getting deep. But that's it.
Yeah.
It was a movie I'd watch while on my cell phone. That was what the movie was.
Agreed. So yeah. I have 5 questions that I ask every guest. They are unchanged from movie to movie, but I think they apply to pretty much every act of cinema that we have nowadays. So the first question is, what aspect of the storytelling do you think was done right?
I want to say the supporting characters, because they were just peppering of big stars and supporting roles that just made the movie fun to watch. I really wish they went a little bit Bill Burr, he was more of a star if you ask me, but ultimately a supporting role. Steve Buscemi was great. There were a lot of people where I'm like, oh shit. And it was really cool because it kept me involved and kept me interested in the movie. Not because, I recognize that face, but because they did a good job. I thought Steve Buscemi's character was phenomenal. He was kind of like the dad of the firehouse, the head of the wolf pack.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? And he listened when it came to the baseball scene. He's like, no, let him go. let him say this. And he was more of just a guide as opposed to pulling people in a direction or making decisions. He was a leader because he let everybody voice their opinion and he let people make their own decisions. And freaking A, man, there was so much of that.
Yeah, I like Steve Buscemi. I think he's a really good actor.
Oh, he's great.
Did you ever watch Boardwalk Empire?
No.
Oh, he plays the main character. It's a TV series based in 1920s, or no, it'd be 1930s. I don't know.
Buscemi, I love that he's in Hollywood because, I'm not the prettiest guy ever. I get that. I'm a 6, maybe a 7 after I get my hair cut. But Steve Buscemi is an ugly motherfucker.
Yeah, he's bad.
But he plays the coolest roles, man.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
So what aspects of the storytelling do you think were done wrong?
Obviously the main character, the character development of any, especially the mom. I think the last scene we seen of the mom, one of the last, is she's got plants in her house and she just kicks him out basically because she's sitting down with her friend And she's like, that's great. I don't give a fuck. And then like she just like is like, there's the door. Go have fun. When his mom was so caring, so much so at the whole scene, too much so, if you ask my opinion. He needed some tough love, obviously. Still living at home when you're 26. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If there's any people that listen to this that are 26 living at home, but get a job. But like, no, man, like I just didn't really like the development. It was hard to stay into the movie when nobody really moved.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think very well said. All right, my second question. What is the biggest unanswered question of the movie? And do you think this was done intentionally?
What does he do? Does he open the restaurant or not? Like, and yes, I think it was done intentionally because of that last scene. Like, I got mad, almost as mad as when I watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail for the first time, where it's like they're having that fight scene and then it just cuts to static. I was like 12 or 13. And my dad made me watch the movies. Like, just watch the movie. You have to watch the movie. This is like one of the things my dad was like, you got to do in order to become a man. So I'm like, all right, I'll be a man. This is great. And then it just cuts out. I'm like, well, where's the second tape? And he goes, nope, there is none. That's it. And I was kind of like, well, what the shit? And then he was like, watch your mouth. I'm going to beat you. Like, no, that's, but like this movie kind of left you like that. It was just a pan up at the skyline. You see the wonder on his face, and then that's it. And I was just kind of like, well, is he going to follow his dream of the tattoo restaurant? Is he going to do the fire department, and join his family? Because honestly, like those dudes are the family. Like
right.
not to diminish his family, but like the fire department housed him when he didn't have a place to go. They treated him like one of them, even though he really wasn't. Those guys were a wolf pack to a T, and it was just like, it was awesome. Like I don't know, but I was really disgruntled with that ending, man. That was just crap.
Yeah, I mean, I think after 2 hours and 15 minutes for a character not to move that's pretty disappointing.
And like he made small movements, but when you say didn't move, like you're pretty much spot on. Like screw that, because he told the girl he loves her, and like that's a moment, but you knew that based on the interactions earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be like, I have communication problems. That's fine. Everybody does, but I still drop L-bombs. Like God.
So. Okay, question number 3. Personal connection is very important. Was there anything that happened in the movie that reminded you of a real life story that happened to you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Shit. I would say the only thing that really stuck out to me that identified is okay, so like recently I've been like house hunting and doing all this stuff in like a pandemic, which is shit. In a housing market, which is like a seller's market. So everybody's overbidding, everybody's doing all this, which is garbage. So I moved out of like a really nice place, into a place to stay for like a couple months, month-to-month lease. And it really rough. You know what I mean? Working, all the time just to be able to like save enough money for the down payment on the house. And like things got dark. And like that opening scene really like caught me a lot because at least personally, I was struggling with that for a while. Is it worth all the struggle? Is it worth all the pain? Should I just like turn right? Or should I do this? And it was like, it's a struggle I think we all go through at times. Some are more worse than others, but it's like we've all been there. And it was just like,
I agree.
Watch him like close his eyes and like, you're like, oh shit, like he's not happy. He's really dealing with some things. Like that was a real good glimpse I felt into his own personal psyche that attached to the audience as a whole. And I really was hoping for more of that throughout the movie, but there wasn't. Like, you don't have to be super dark with it, but I was really hoping to connect more with that main character after that first scene, and I wasn't able to. It's really rough.
Very well put. Question number 4. What is the most important sequence in the movie?
The college party.
Really?
that was just fun. Like I'm not, probably not the most important, but that was like the most fun for me was watching this like socially awkward as fuck guy like go to this college party, which he's like 6 years too old for, and just like connect with people. And like, yeah, he had like a little fling there for a minute, but like be with his sister. And then like he connected with his sister right there. That was the part that like kind of almost solidified their relationship, because in the end it didn't. By the way, there were a lot of middle fingers in this movie, and I felt like if we were to dive deep, there'd be a lot of meaning to it. But I didn't really, take notes or anything like that. So, but like the college thing was just fun. It just showed him like actually like letting loose and having a good time with people.
Which is crazy to me because honestly, that's kind of what I anticipated the movie being about. Not really about, but I like, instead of showing him as a secluded stoner that hangs out with the same three people and just smokes in a basement, I kind of saw him in the previews as being more of the college party, crazy stoner, if you will.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think he definitely has this bonding moment with his sister in that scene where they're both enjoying the same thing. They're both acting like real people.
What did they fight about at the end? They talked. Oh, it was
he contemplates going. Oh, oh yeah, exactly. So he contemplates going to college because he had such a good time at the party, and then moves on. And his sister's like, "Really? That's it? You're gonna contemplate
40
college for all
seconds?
40
That's all you're gonna do?" Yep.
And he's like, "Well, I think that was a pretty good amount of time." And
but
then
also, he
didn't
graduate college,
right?
Or high school. Like, how do you not graduate high school in 2019? Is that possible?
I mean, his dad died.
Again, a crutch. Everybody's understanding and everybody's appreciative of his dad and his dad. And he's just riding the freeloader boat. Like, that was such bullshit. Like, be your own person. Oh,
agreed, 100%. I have a lot of respect for people who go through hard times, especially hard times that aren't self-brought on. You get dealt a shitty hand, but on the same token, they don't last forever. And I think at some point you've got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back in there. And he just hasn't gotten to that point. And
it's hard though. Like I've been through those times, and like I said, I identify with those characters' dark times, because like there's times where I haven't seen the light at the end of the tunnel. But like you just have to keep pushing. Yeah. Once you see the light, it's all over, because there's the end, that's it. But like that's a human drive. That's like a basic human necessity, is you just keep pushing. You keep pushing against all odds. And some of the best success stories in history are against all odds.
Agreed.
When there's no point of success, and it's just like you got to remember that no matter what. And he just doesn't care, doesn't remember, doesn't do much.
Yeah, well said. Okay, fifth and last question: if you could recast two roles in the film, what would they be? Who would you cast in them, and why?
Oh, that's a tough call. Shit. Let me think. If I could recast two roles, I hate to say it, and I know it was made for him, but I would recast Pete Davidson.
Obviously, right? Like you have to.
But also, I don't know if that was just a script writing or him.
Well, so here's the thing: you got to ask yourself, if they were to change the script to a more successful role, a more growth role, could he pull it off?
He might rise to the challenge. I appreciate the ability of a more challenging scenario and people rising to the role. But I think, like we said in the beginning, this was made for him, and I don't think he gives a lot of care into what he does. And I think that's kind of the allure of him as a stand-up comedian, is that he just says what he says and he does what he does, and that's kind of it. And he doesn't really give two shits what anybody says, thinks, and doesn't put much effort into it. And I think that's, not diminishing his stand-up, because stand-up's freaking hilarious because of that fact. And I think this movie was typecasted for him, and he probably had a lot of say in what happened. But besides him, I thought all the supporting characters were great. I thought they did show depth. I loved his sister. There's not, yelling at him a couple times, doing that. Bill Burr was freaking amazing. I want to see him in more. So like, yeah, man, I don't know. That's a tough call because was it the script writing or was it Pete Davidson himself that was like, I'm just gonna not care. It's hard to hate the movie versus hate the character.
Who would you replace him with if you could?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like only because you mentioned him earlier, I feel like a Bill Hader would be really good in that role.
You think so?
He might be a little too old to play the 24-year-old, but I like him. I think he's funny. I could see him in that kind of role.
It's a tough call. I don't know.
Okay, well, I got one more segment I like to play with my guests. This is my favorite segment to do. If you're not familiar with Rotten Tomatoes, it is a website online that rates movies and allows viewers to rate movies.
Why do you describe Rotten Tomatoes?
It's Rotten
2020.
Tomatoes.
We're supposed to have hoverboards. Everybody knows what Rotten Tomatoes are. Like,
if you don't know what Rotten Tomatoes is, then you just shouldn't. You shouldn't know. You're not
just
allowed
stop.
to.
Just stop. Yeah.
So what I like to do is play a game called Guess That Tomato, where I would like my guest to guess the viewer score on Rotten Tomatoes for this movie. This movie is The King of Staten Island, and I will tell you right now, it has over 1,300 votes right now.
Really? That many?
That many.
And it only made like $44,000, you said?
Yeah, so far. Yep. At 20, I mean, you could probably do the math. At $20 a ticket, that's roughly 1,000 people that have seen this movie.
Okay, that's not a lot. So don't bring this up in the workplace, folks. This is a movie for you. Okay. I don't know. I'm gonna guess. Like, it was passable. Like, I wasn't upset by it, but it was it kept me watching. I have to say that. Like, no matter what, it did keep me watching. Like, I answered a couple texts, I did a couple things while I was watching it. But ultimately it did keep me on the screen. So I want to say like a 68, 72.
Okay, and here's the curveball. Now I'm going to give you 3 movies that are within 2 points of this one.
Okay.
And we'll see if you want to change your score. Those 3 movies are Avengers Infinity War, Deadpool,
I'm in trouble.
and John Wick.
Okay, we're lowering that score.
and the
really, John Wick, Infinity War, and Deadpool got that low?
They're all within 2 points of The King of Staten Island. So
Can we just rag on Rotten Tomatoes for a second for just getting it all wrong?
Well, I'm going to ask you, do you want to change your guess?
Yes.
Based on that.
43.
43? You're lowering it compared to those movies?
Those movies were epic, and I love them, and they have a special place in my heart. And I'm going to get a couple of those tattooed on my arm, which is currently in progress. So yes, we're gonna lower that score.
So just to reiterate, The King of Staten Island was within 2 points of those movies.
Stop it.
Right. So do you want to change your guess?
No, you're a liar.
I swear to God.
I'm gonna fact check you after this phone call.
Go for it.
And I'm gonna berate you. They're within 2 points.
Within 2 points of The King of Staten Island.
Shit. 64 then.
64. The actual audience score on Rotten Tomatoes right now, 86.
What?
I know, right? 86%. The critic score is 72%, which is slightly more believable.
I just don't see it. How are...
I think what ultimately did this movie wrong, it was too long, and there wasn't enough growth in the main character. I think you fix those 2 simple things, and the movie would have been awesome.
No, I see. I don't even mind the length. Like, I don't have a lot of time to kill. Like, I work a shit ton, but like, if I'm gonna make the commitment to a movie, I'm in. Like, that's it. And I don't mind length, but I do agree with the character development. It was literally, out of all the movies I've seen, it was the least growth as far as character development I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I can honestly say. So
Any final thoughts you want to give on this movie?
don't pay $20 to rent it. But it is a good watch. Like I did enjoy it at times. Like I said, the supporting characters are great. It's peppered with humor. There were a couple points where I literally laughed out loud just because of the witty banter, especially the fight scene between Bill Burr and him. That was freaking hilarious. But ultimately, like I don't know. I just thought it was typecasted for him, obviously. Pete Davidson does great. I really do hope he does good in his career and he keeps doing his stand-up's awesome. If anybody's never seen it, go for sure. He's a riot. We had a couple drinks and we just had a great time watching him. But yeah, they lower the price a little bit, like $10, like $7, rent it. Like it's a pretty good watch.
Nice. So it is a firm belief here at Don't Forget a Towel that everybody geeks out on something, whether it's legitimate geek stuff like movies, comic books, and TV shows, or it's just your personal geeky things. So we ask every guest on all of our podcasts, Sean, what are you geeking out on right now?
Oh God. I keep watching updates. On Marvel. I keep waiting for the next one. It's been far too long. I need another Marvel movie. They keep teasing who the next big bad villain is, but nothing's been said for sure. Other than that, it's the Council War that's up and coming because I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to do another Xbox or another PlayStation.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, that's a tough call because like I fell out of line with my social group on Xbox. Like I just stopped playing so much. And now I just play by myself. So do I want to go PlayStation or do I want to go Xbox? But I think Xbox is going to undercut for the price. So they might have me there.
It's true.
Ultimately, I missed my Marvel movies.
The PlayStation is set to be released $500, which is a hefty price tag. But have you seen the video games? Have you seen the gameplay from? It's unbelievable.
Oh my God. They've got Miles Morales coming out.
Yeah.
Dude, are you kidding me?
And
now for nothing, I missed the last Spider-Man. Like PlayStation just has better exclusives. Like you can't. I'm an Xbox fanboy. I love it, but I only love it what it's good at, which is the social networking. Like I remember doing raids on Destiny for hours. I remember Call of Duty for hours with my bunch of guys, like my gang, and we'd kill it. But like I don't get to do that much anymore now. Like. I actually bought a Wii, or not a Wii, a Switch, just for Zelda, which
nice.
I love. Yeah, but that's like my personal shift in gaming. It's more for story. It's more for just me, interacting. So I think I might go PlayStation. Don't tell anybody because there's going to be a lot of angry people.
I'm sure nobody will hear this.
Everybody's going to hear this.
Well, I really appreciate you being my guest. Thanks for the movie suggestion and the waste $20. I will take you up on those beers.
Yeah, no, I definitely owe you a couple beers, but some good stuff. No White Claws, no Trulies, no. Do you drink those? Stop. Come on.
No, I do not.
Okay,
if I'm drinking, it depends. Like I'm a mixed drink kind of guy. The beer makes me like bloated, and especially now that I'm getting older.
Yes.
But if I'm going beer, I'm usually only going to have one or two anyway. So it's like,
okay, what about mixed drinks? Let's go fun stuff. What are you doing?
Ooh, I personally like a Cobra, which is 50-50 on Kahlua and soda water. It tastes like chocolate soda. It's amazing. You heard it here, folks. Try it for sure.
You're adorable. Come on, keep going.
Jack and Coke, rum and Coke. I'm not big on soda though.
You don't do anything straight? You're a classy guy. We got to get you on straight whiskey. We're going to do that.
A friend of mine since elementary school has just switched to straight whiskey, and I can't do it. I can't do it.
So I'm doing straight tequila and straight whiskey normally now.
Jesus.
Basil Hayden, which is a bourbon and kind of a whiskey, and then Casamigos for tequila. But the Añejo, which is just, it's a little pricey, but like you can literally drink that at room temp and be good. And for tequila, that says a lot. But for bourbon, Basil Hayden, oh my God, I'm buying you a bottle just because it's great stuff.
That's insane. Have you heard of this Red Eye Louise company who has created a tequila mixture? So they have tequila and vodka.
What is this?
Yeah.
What?
They have tequila and vodka mixed. It's called Vodkila. And it became so popular that they've released other versions. I believe they have like a tequila and whiskey, a tequila and rum.
Okay, I'm writing this down right now.
Red Eye Louise.
Okay, done. The only other thing I drink, which is brand new, is I started buying bottles of sake. Because you always go out for sushi and you're like, yeah, sake, that's a great idea. And I'm like, I wonder how much it is in the liquor store. $12 a bottle, and you can drink like a half a bottle in a night and get good. Like you're fine, everything's great, you're having a great time, and then save the other half of the bottle for the next day.
I've
like
never had sake.
$12. Oh my, what?
You've never had sake. Is it?
Okay,
You're supposed to drink it warm, right?
You can do it. I love it warm. I'll put it in the microwave like 1 minute and you're done. Some people like it cold. That's fine. Like good, they're wrong, but they're entitled to their opinion. That's okay.
I'm not a big warm drink fan. I don't know if I could do a warm
hot cider with a little bit of whiskey in there. You've never done that?
Ooh, I've done hot cider before.
Ooh, I turned them on a little bit.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, that's a good one.
We're gonna go right into the next podcast.
All right, Sean. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it. I will talk to you soon. And everybody, thanks for listening.
Bobby, thank you so much for having me on. Everybody have a great night and watch Staten Island. Ish. Have a good one. What's up, Brusif?
Not too much. You are on a nasty echo right now. Do you have headphones?
I do. Let me hook them up. Hold on. I don't know if it'll help. Otherwise, I'm going to have to put you right on the earpiece.
Right on the old earpiece.
Yeah, because it's 2020 and nobody's invented good anti-echoey things yet.
Is this on your phone?
Yeah.
You got to get a labby top, man.
Dude, I don't have any of that. Hold on. Boop. Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay. Oh, goodness. You sound crisp. You're on a microphone.
I am
crafty son of a gun.
I do a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, apparently. This is a new one. Is that better or is that echoey? Because I just found my earpiece.
It's not bad. You sound a little far away, but I think it'll be fine.
Okay. All right. Screw that. We're going to go back to regular then. I just need to... Oh, God. Let's just roll with that. I like that better.